I want to use WordPress to set up my business website. Do I want to try and set this up by myself, or do I want to hire somebody?
I have a story. A long time ago, I had a business where I made things and sold things at craft shows. And I had a problem because I wasn't getting paid when I'd ship stuff. And I realized the reason I wasn't getting paid was I didn't send out any invoices. So people don't pay you if you don't ask for the money. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to take care of my books. I'm going to learn how to keep my books, and I'm going to I spent a lot of time on my books. And you know what happened? I didn't make any art. So I hired somebody, because if that's not what I want to do, and it makes me crazy to have to do it, get somebody else to do it for you.
WordPress is a popular content management system used by many small business owners. But are there some businesses it simply isn't suited to support? E-commerce, for example. Kirsch McConlogue of WeFixBrokenWebsites.com has been working with WordPress since 2005 and tells us about the platform's benefits and its limitations. So, Kirsch, just to get started, what kind of business or businesses is a WordPress website best for? Now, I realize this is a loaded question, because I think there's probably, WordPress is very versatile, but in general, we were talking before the show about the kinds of businesses that WordPress is probably best suited for, at least in its simplest form.
Well, you're right about the loaded question. Theoretically, you could do anything on a WordPress site. There's I'm not sure New York Times is the right answer, but there's a lot of real big companies that use WordPress. But if you're little and you're just starting out and you're a little bit, you want to make sure people know where your store is. They want to know where they don't want. I've had therapists who say that what they really like about their website is somebody goes there and gets directions. They don't have to have a secretary answering the question of, how do I get to your office? So simple, straight up, almost slightly better than a brochure. That's like the basic of basicness. But then if you want to have a blog, if you want to do some sort of educational stuff, it's great for that. It's great. And if you have things you want to sell, it's good for sales. And again, we talked about this before. I have a book, or I have a sweater I want to sell. Then you don't need WooCommerce, you don't need Shopify, you don't need anything else. You need essentially, you could use a PayPal button that you get from PayPal put on, and that would work. Or you have 3 things you want to sell, and you could use a Gravity Forms or something like that to let people just buy this one thing. And it's great. But if you go into hundreds of jewelry that's going to be, turning over, maybe Shopify is a better answer. And here's one that you'll have to look up: Mals-eCommerce, MALS-E, is if you have things you're selling and you have lots and lots of options for each thing, WooCommerce is a pain in the neck for that, but Mals does great work.
Should explain quickly for those who are uninitiated what WooCommerce is.
WooCommerce is a plugin for WordPress that allows you to set up sales. I think they also do memberships. Anything you want people to buy. It's kind of tedious to set up in the first place. A lot of boxes to miss and things to not get quite right. But if you're selling, t-shirts in small, medium, and large, it's great. If you have some collection of just a lot of things, but not thousands of things, although it could support thousands of things.
So I think what I'm hearing is, and we talked about this a little bit before the show started, though it might be a controversial statement, if you're just getting started and you're planning to set up a whole store full of, and maybe you have hundreds or thousands of pieces of merchandise, all kinds of things like that, that might not be the best use.
A store like that is more a store and less a sharing of information. For example, Amazon, which is not a WordPress site, Amazon doesn't try to educate you. They just try to sell you stuff. And maybe that's the bottom line of, what are you trying to do on your website? Is just sell stuff? Maybe not the best choice. But if you're trying to do some education, some more information, you're trying to pass off, classes or something like that, then it's probably fine.
How do you decide if WordPress is right for you? And maybe one of the things that we should think about here when we're asking this question is, there's kind of other ways you can promote your business too. You can have there are people who have a Facebook page, for example, and nothing else.
A lot of people who are new think, well, I don't need all that. I could just have a Facebook page or Facebook group. But in Facebook, I'm making this number up, but content has a shelf life of about 20 minutes. And if somebody misses it on that 20-minute thing, then you've lost something. I'm not saying it's nothing, but it's you might start there, but once you're sure that you're really moving ahead and you really want to have an actual website that actually has content on it and information on it, then you want to move into the next thing. And some people will say Wix or whatever, that Squarespace or something like that. I'm a WordPress person, so I'm going to tell you all that's crap, but it's probably not, depending on what you want to do with it. If you want somebody to keep coming back to your website, not just you saw an ad and want to buy these shoes, that's one kind of website. But if you want people to come back to learn to know who you are, to like you, to trust you, and then get around to buying something, you got to have more than just a store. Even in a brick and mortar store, people come in, they're going to look, can I help you? No, I'm just looking. And they do that a couple of times. And then they decide, you know what, I'm going to go back there and buy something. But you have to get through the know me, like me, trust me before you can pass me your money, whatever it is.
I want to use WordPress to set up my business website. Do I want to try and set this up by myself, or do I want to hire somebody?
I have a story. A long time ago, I had a business where I made things and sold things at craft shows. And I had a problem because I wasn't getting paid when I'd ship stuff. And I realized the reason I wasn't getting paid was I didn't send out any invoices. So people don't pay you if you don't ask for the money. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to take care of my books. I'm going to learn how to keep my books, and I'm going to I spent a lot of time on my books. And you know what happened? I didn't make any art. So I hired somebody, because if that's not what I want to do, and it makes me crazy to have to do it, get somebody else to do it for you. Now, the kind of beauty of WordPress is you could get somebody to set it up for you. And if you want to, if you have the inclination to, if you have the interest in the puzzling of it, you could maintain it yourself. You could add your own content. You could change the prices. You could, add pictures. You could do all those things yourself. It's relatively easy. It's not you blink your eyes and pictures are there, or blink your eyes and a link is there. You have to want to do it, and it's tedious, and it takes time, and it always takes more time than you think it's going to take, even for people who know what they're doing. So that's sort of the line there. Is that what you want to do with your time, or not? But you look at an awful lot of people who have been doing WordPress for a long time, and even new people. How did I get started? I needed a website. My first one was HTML, and then anybody have a blog? Geez, that's interesting. I want that. And then that was, 2005. And here I am all these years later. So, but I like it. I want to do it. It's a puzzle. It's fun. So that's your sort of line of, can you do it yourself? Yes. Do you want to? Maybe, maybe not.
I want to find somebody, a WordPress developer or whatever you want to call it. I want to find somebody to set this up for me. Where do I find somebody?
There's an awful lot of people who say, oh, my kid can do that. My neighbor's kid, my brother can do that. My uncle can do that. And the problem you have with somebody who's related to you, or even a friend, if they get stuck, family members often get bored and go away and don't want to do it anymore. And then you're sort of screwed. And so, and then if you decide you don't like what they're doing, it's really hard to tell your son, this isn't what I'm looking for. So finding somebody else, I think, is the first part. And then, if you were to find a local meetup, you could go to a meetup and you could ask around, who are you using? Who did it for you? What, can you help me start with something? How do I go about it? I hesitate to say sites like, Elance, I think it has a new name now, but or Fiverr or something like that.
Maybe Upwork for example.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Or Fiverr, or
right.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say. I mean, maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it won't be. Things you want to be sure if you get somebody to do this work for you is that you own the domain name and you own the hosting. So if they get anything's wrong, you still have control. You go to your small business group and ask somebody at the small business group. And the thing you get from that is being able to ask a random collection of people, how much did it cost you? I mean, you're going to get answers everywhere between $500, which is, or, $25,000. And you got to figure out what's it worth to you and how much do you think you can make. And if you're just starting out and you're selling 3 books, you don't want to spend thousands of dollars on that because the likelihood of you ever getting it back is, maybe not that great.
You touched on something, and this happens to be how you and I met, interestingly enough. But you talked about WordPress meetups. I think as a non-WordPress developer, I could just say I enjoyed so much just going to one. And I think that it opens your eyes and you meet people. And even if you're not a WordPress developer, you meet people. And if you need this kind of talent, it's a great pool. But tell people a little bit,
what's a meetup?
Most people have probably never heard of a WordPress meetup. How do they find one? I was amazed to find one in my community, just meeting there, just meeting at the community college.
So meetup.com, I think, has group, which is kind of a group of people who have a similar interest. It could be everything from I just moved here to I like salsa dancing to how to make drinks, how to do everything. So you go there, you search within whatever your reasonable amount of driving space is for WordPress, and then you find out when the meeting is and you go. And also, first of all, at every time I've been to a meetup, there's always been at least one person, and even in real small groups, at least one person who has no idea what they're doing. And they come there and they ask questions, and there's always somebody there who will help them. And the beauty of it also is that even if you think, I think I know pretty much. I don't know everything. I don't even probably know a lot in the big pictures of life, but I know I can help lots of people who are, I say this less than me, but I mean, who don't know as much as me. And I can learn from people who know way more than me. And it's a very, the WordPress community in general is a very welcoming group, and they want to make your life easy and they want to help you. And even if it's just I can't figure out how to do this one thing, but I got my whole site with this one thing, you'll find somebody there who will say, oh yeah, I can help you with that. Boom, boom, Bob's your uncle. Also, lots of the meetups over the last couple of years with the pandemic have been online, so virtual. So you can find virtual meetups, and we've had a couple of them. And we had a guy from Colorado and a guy from India who, came to the meetup because they could, and they're free. There's
this idea that you have to stay in control of your vision because you know how your business works. So if somebody gives you a website that just doesn't work for your business, just does not work for your business, then you're in trouble.
This is it.
Yeah.
Before you even talk to anybody, you must write down on paper, what exactly you want your website to do. What do you imagine it needs to do? And what do you think it should look like? And if somebody comes to me and says, can you draw me a picture on a piece of paper with a pencil, take a picture with your phone, scan it, send it to me. How do you think it should be laid out? Don't put content in it. Just give me a picture so I have something to start from where to go. So I have this weird sort of geekifiedness and artistic stuff. So I can do an awful lot of design work myself. But if I don't know if I don't have any idea what it is you want, well, then I'm sort of at a loss. And if what you want is something more complicated than what I can do, then I can say, oh, well, we're also going to need a designer. And that's a whole different kettle of fish. But knowing what it is you want, what are the pieces? What are you going to do with it? Who are your clients? Who are your ideal clients? Who are your visitors? Who do you want to have as your visitors? I remember asking this question to somebody one time, a long time ago, when I was coaching, and I said, so what's your ideal customer? Oh, well, somebody who pays me. That's a perfectly legitimate piece of an ideal customer. Somebody who pays. When they say they're going to pay, I want the money, you got to pay me. Knowing all of those things before you start talking to somebody is really helpful.
And that's it for another episode of Small Biz in 15. Thanks again to Kirsch McConlogue, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the show. And please leave a comment and let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future programs. For more small business news and tips, join us at smallbiztrends.com.